Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. Thanks for coming out. We're looking at this Toro 20042 again. It happens to be a 1999 model year, built in December of 99. So the last video I discussed what I had done to this thing. This thing had come in a group of 3 for $30. This Troy-Bilt started off installed. So I got to do a carb clean on that. This Honda, we had issues with the front wheel adjusters being floppy. This thing actually started but needs a carb clean. It's got a fluctuating idle. We couldn't do anything with this 1999 Toro due to the fact that the recoil rope was broken, but we looked it over. In the first video, we had seen some new parts on this thing. So I went through it, I degreased it, took the recoil off, put a new rope on it, cleaned the carburetor because I had taken the bowl off and there was some sediment in the bowl. I told you in the last video I had seen some fire damage. This coil wire actually burnt and all the plastic here is off of the wire. We have bare metal on that coil wire, so I put another wire on it. Also notice that the back of the coil here, all this plastic, maybe 2 or 3 of these fins here were fire damaged. This happens to be another recoil. I just re-sprung that one and put new rope in it, but there was some melting going on that recoil. After the last video, I kind of glanced down at the GTS cover and noticed a burn mark here, and there's some soot here where there was some flames reaching up and actually melting the plastic here on the beauty ring. So I'm not sure what caught on fire. Maybe it was something to do with gasoline when they were refueling. It didn't continue to burn because I didn't find any other damage. The whole machine didn't melt. It seemed to be a quick fire that extinguished itself rather rapidly. This is the tank off of it. There's a huge crack here, but it's not leaking. I'm going to AB compound that with some China AB JB Well type material. So I threw a tank on this from a 2009 Troy-Bilt. That's got a dead engine. So I think I brought you up to date. They call this the SR-21S. This is the Toro serial number. This is the Briggs & Stratton engine number. So I've been working diligently on this thing. I happen to be having a nice refreshment from Tijuana Flats. My son and his lovely wife brought me to Tijuana Flats, and I had some delicious lunch there. No hot sauce. I went for the mild stuff. I can't tolerate that. So a little sweet tea here. Down here at the bottom of the list, I didn't mark it. Oh, there it is marked, actually. They did put a cross mark through that. So let me wet my palette and we'll get back to work. Okay. So we had no spark. We knew that in the last video. I changed out the coil with an aftermarket coil. I ended up buying 5 of these on Fleabay. They were about 11 bucks each if you buy 4 or more. So I went ahead and stocked up on these quantum style coils. So I did not bring the part number out, but I'll list it down below. I'll put the coil number down below there for you. I had the bag inside. I didn't bring it out. It had the 6-digit Briggs number on it. So I think we're ready to go with this thing. That's what I installed. Oh, I wanted to mention it came without the little boot here. So I got a little story for you. You know, this calls for a boot so this doesn't ground out or come in contact with the block or it would kill the engine. You can see the little boot here. Well, I put a boot on it from a dead machine. So I was talking to one of my customers. He said a friend of his has a Ford Expedition and the rear wiper blade got caught on something and got ripped off. So he went to Ford Parts and got a new wiper blade arm. And so he got it home, went to put it on, there was no blade, so he was quite upset. He went back to the Ford parts counter and complained, and the guy says, well, you bought a wiper blade arm, the blade is sold separately. We gotta order that. It doesn't come with a blade. You gotta pay for that separate. Same deal with this. This thing should come with a boot, but it does not. So cheapy cheap. Everybody's getting cheap. So let's put the Oregon plug back in, the 77-301-1, which I'm sure is the equivalent of the Champion RJ19LM. So I've got a big clip on the safety brake. So I'll give this little tug with my left arm, and we should have spark, and we do. I can see it sparking. So let's put this plug back in and start all over again. So this wasn't a quick and easy on this 1999 Toro. It had some issues. No spark, crack in the tank, some fire damage. But it appears somebody tried to keep it alive. They put some new parts on it. I'm wondering if this air filter backing plate caught on fire and that's why they replaced it. This thing here could have melted. That thought crossed my mind. Still don't know if this thing's priming or not, but we're going to see. So that turned out well. You saw all the smoke. There's not a mosquito in the neighborhood now, but that eventually burned off, luckily. That was probably me shifting this thing around from side to side. So the deal is I just lifted up on the handle. The handle is still messed up. I was going to engage the rear wheel drive to see if it would engage. I did lift it off the ground. It did engage, but just barely. I noticed on my personal pace travel here that I think there's a lot of slack here in the cable. When I move the personal pace down, there seemed to be a lot of play in this. And I know right now what the problem is. This should stay up. There's a spring on the other side. I bet you it's broken. We're going to walk over there right now. There's a spring on these to keep this mechanism to the top. This thing is just falling back on its own. And you can see the spring right there. It's disconnected. I don't think it's broken. It's just popped off where it should go. So that's something we got to look at. The spring should be hooked up yonder. So this thing just keeps going and going as far as problems, but I think there's too much slack in the drive cable, 11 millimeter. Bring the cable towards the engine to get rid of this slack and it'll start engaging. This doesn't help either. This bungee tie action. We shouldn't have any flop here. I got to figure out how to rectify this. I don't know how these things got so bent up. I either got to tack weld it on each side or drill another hole through this whole thing and double bolt it on each side to prevent that. So this 99 project's coming along, but it appears to be dogging me every step of the way. Every time I turn around, there's a new issue. Anyway, appreciate you coming out. This is the last video I'm going to do on this model 20042. It's the SR21S. Ended up being a bad coil. We had no spark, and then all the other issues that we discussed. Anyway, appreciate you coming out. Getting late in the day. I'm going to jump on the front porch, have some spicy hot sauce, and watch the birds fly by. Oh, that was good. As always, tip your waitress and wait staff, as I did here at Tijuana Flats. I gave them a nice tip in the tip jar on the counter. So I don't know how they work that. Maybe they share it with everybody that was on duty, the cooks, the register lady, waitresses, and the rest of the wait staff. Have a good day today. Come back and see me.